What's up, Church Online? Hey, I'm so glad that you decided to tune in to today's broadcast. My name is Muta, and I get to be the lead pastor here at Relevant Church alongside my incredible wife. At Relevant Church, we want to do one thing and one thing well. We want to help everybody around us discover that Jesus is relevant. And because Jesus is relevant, we want to create an atmosphere where we learn to passionately follow Jesus, love across boundaries, and then go out and make a tangible difference in our community, our region, and our world. And listen, if that type of heartbeat fires you up, I want to invite you to be a part of Team Relevant. It doesn't matter where you're watching from, you can be a part of Relevant Church. Go ahead and text CONNECT to the number below, or join us online for our private Facebook group, Relevant Refam. All of the prompts are going to be below. Today is a very, very special day. You get to hear from my good friends. We've known them for a long, long time. We met them as kids in college, and they have grown to be such a beautiful, wonderful couple. Their names are Oliver and Denise Marcelle, and they run an organization called Denali, and it is all about fortifying relationships, building healthy marriages, and investing into people who want to invest in their relationship. So listen, these are relationship experts. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to tune in. I want you to listen up. I want you to grab a notepad. Even as I'm talking, I'm kind of stalling so that you go grab a notepad and make sure you take notes, because they're going to give you some relationship gold. So would you lean in today as we listen to my good friends Oliver and Denise Marcelle as they kick off Pillow Talk?
What's up?
What's up?
Relevant family. What's happening?
Church.
Listen, we are so excited to be a part of this series with you, where we are talking about Pillow Talk. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest. Well, I'll be honest in just a second. Let me just say this. I love the fact that your mission is what it is, that your mission is to help everyone discover that Jesus is relevant. I think that is awesome, because it allows you now just to relax in the beauty of this relationship that you're forming.
I love it.
And so now I'll be honest, right? I'll be honest. Pillow Talk. That's what we're talking about, right? So I'm gonna just be honest. My mind went, went a little, you'll learn a little bit about me. My mind went somewhere. Pillow Talk seems kind of sexy and, that kind of thing. So if I wander a little bit, just, Jesus is relevant. Okay. So there we go. All right. So, so let's get into this. Let's get in. What's happening?
Oh, you're so close. You're not usually this close.
No,
you're a little bit further away, but
it's cuffing season. It's cuffing season, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, and that's what a fantastic segue into what the title of this thing is. This is, well, we're actually coming up to almost to the end of cuffing season. So cuffing season. And listen, we've been married for a little while, so it's cuffing season, every day for us now. Okay. But if I remember correctly, somewhere around Thanksgiving, or a little bit before Thanksgiving, to a little bit after Valentine's Day.
So there really are some dates, or loosely there are some dates?
There is a season of time where folks are like, hey, listen, man, it's getting cold. I need a warm body. I need somebody to get up in this bed with me. I need somebody to go through Christmas and Thanksgiving. I need to be booed up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I need somebody to get some flowers and candy for me at Valentine's Day. And so you start to see these connections forming in like October.
Interesting.
You start seeing these connections forming in October. So when did we meet? Did we meet in October?
No, we met in the springtime.
Oh, so man, what season is that? That's after cuffing season. So listen, or before, right? And so here's the thing. What I love about this series, I got to say what I love about this series, all jokes aside. Mm-hmm. What I love about this series is that you all are having these conversations now.
Yeah.
A mistake that we made, or maybe it wasn't a mistake, just something we just didn't know. Didn't know better.
I think we just didn't take the time to think that deeply, if you want to call it that.
It could be that. Yeah. We weren't exposed to
That's the thing. I think
a situation like this where you can have some real and raw conversations.
Right.
That allow you to walk away thinking about something.
At least thinking
Right.
about
At least thinking about something. And so we're going to dig into that. So what are the kinds of conversations that we should be having? Now, the interesting thing about cuffing season, right? And we're talking to the dating folks, right? The interesting thing about cuffing season is that often after Valentine's Day, like a week later, 2 weeks later, a lot of folk are looking for the back door in their relationship.
Wow. Yeah.
A lot of folks are looking for the back door in their relationship. And remember that, because we're going to come back to that in the end, and tie it into the passage of scripture that governs our time together.
Yeah.
We're going to tie that into the end. But here are some things that we didn't do, because I'm thinking about us, right?
Right.
And there was a cuffing season of sorts for us.
Yes, I agree.
It wasn't called that for us.
Right.
Or at least we didn't know it was called that.
Right.
But there was a period of time where I was like, hey, you know, you're the best option.
Okay. Option.
You're smiling like you want to cut me under the table.
Yeah, because option?
I'm being honest. I'm being honest.
At least you're being honest.
I'm being honest. Listen, the dating season is interesting in that we aren't often looking at it from the perspective of building something.
Absolutely correct.
We're looking at it from the perspective of how can I be benefited?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Which I can honestly say I was that guy.
Yeah.
Right. I was that guy. I was looking for how I could be benefited. What is convenient for the time? What is going to benefit me? What am I going to get out of this?
How are you going to keep warm, basically?
Right. And that's generally what happens during cuffing season. And the thing that we want you to think about is that that's not always the best way to go about things.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not always the best. Because if you think about us, right, when we got into marriage, and I'm not saying that everybody who's dating is going to end up getting married, but let's just say for argument or for example's sake, using us, we get into marriage now, and I get into marriage with that mentality.
Yeah.
There are conversations that did not take place.
Right.
I was not thinking about the way that I should be living. That's going to be relevant in just a moment.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about any of those things. And so now I end up marrying you, the person that I was going through cuffing season with.
Right.
And now there are a whole host of things that come up that we need to address that we weren't able to address.
Right.
Now, for the married folk, you'll hear a little bit more about what some of those things were. But that's where we were, right? We were living in a way that did not have room for any kind of input, whether it be from other people, whether it be from God.
What do you mean? Like, explain that a little bit more.
So I'll use myself. I was living like I was trying to acquire certain things.
Got you.
I was trying to acquire warmth.
Yeah.
I was trying to acquire great meals.
Yeah.
I was trying to acquire good sex.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it a buck.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to acquire what I can acquire.
Yeah.
And then in the moment where those acquisitions are no longer relevant, I love that word. I'm just going to keep using it. So
because it's relevant.
Don't hate me. When it was no longer relevant, I was looking for the other option.
Yeah. Got you.
Right. No conversations were taking place.
Right.
That would allow me to think differently. No conversations were taking place that would allow my perspective to change.
Right.
No conversations were taking place. No growth was happening on my part.
That's it. Growth.
That would even allow for me to create a filter, if you will, that would allow certain conversations to take place. So let me give you an example when I say filter. If I create a meal right now, if I create your favorite meal, and it is perfectly seasoned. From an aesthetic standpoint, it is fantastic. But I put it on a tray and then I float it down the tube where sewage goes through. Take that great meal and I filter it through where sewage goes through.
Yeah.
You're not going to eat that meal.
Not at all.
So here I am. I'm not even creating the right filter. So everything that I put through it, even if I have great intentions, comes through a filter.
Exactly.
That either makes me look selfish or makes me look self-centered or makes me look like all I want is, to get in the pants and that's all I want. And I just don't know if that's the best way.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
I don't know if that's the best way. So let me interject here. And maybe we can talk about this here and then tie it back around at the end. Mm-hmm. If you read the text in Ephesians, the very first thing it says in chapter 5, verse 15 is, so be careful how you live. Be careful how you live.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to ask you to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I can attest to the fact that the way I lived during my cuffing seasons had a significant impact on who I was as a husband when I first got married.
Absolutely, 100%.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was rough when we first got married.
Yeah, that was a hard rough you said there.
That's how rough it was.
It was rough. It was rough.
It was rough. We almost didn't make it.
We almost didn't make it. And here's part of the reason. Part of the reason is that there were certain conversations that did not happen. Right?
Yep.
Because I admitted in the beginning, when I think pillow talk, here's what I think.
Yeah.
When I think pillow talk, I'm just being honest. Can I be honest with the folks?
Yes.
When I hear pillow talk, what I think is the conversation that happens after sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm basking in the glow and, we talking about, what's going, the movie or what we going to do when we wake up or what you want for breakfast. Yeah. You want to eat or whatever. Right. And those are I'm not saying those are bad conversations.
Correct.
What I am saying is that there are some other conversations that we should be looking at having.
Yeah.
If we're really going to be careful about how we live.
Right. Agreed.
So what are some of those conversations that we should be having?
So we should be talking about things like, what is your purpose? Or I should be telling you what my purpose is, what my intentions are as far as how I want to make an impact for the kingdom, for my family, for the community, for the world even. So those types of things are the conversations that we should be having. And I know that we did not talk about any of that.
We didn't talk about that.
Nope.
Here's something that we always tell individuals who are dating. Be resolute about your requirements.
Yeah.
Something that often happens, well, you know what? We're going to use ourselves. Something that happened with me quite often is that there were no requirements.
Yeah.
During cuffing season, except for I needed a warm body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if there are no requirements, then there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
Nor is there there's no guiding principles for you either. So not only are you not having the right conversations, but there's no guiding principles. And in Ephesians, it says we got to be careful about how we live. Now, you talked about something earlier in I think it was verse 17 that stood out to you. Tell me about that.
So verse 17 says, don't act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants you to do. Now, I know for us, not in every instance, I'll speak for myself. During our cuffing season, I know I wasn't going to God and asking him anything. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I just did not go to God and consult with him or ask him anything. I was just like, this is it. This is great. This is how it is. This is wonderful. But this verse is telling us that we can't be thoughtless. And that's how I was acting. Like, we can't be thoughtless. We got to submit to God. All types of things like that. We should be talking to God about everything.
Yeah. And here's the other side of that thoughtless coin, right? Thoughtless also could be the way that I was, which is I was not thinking about you. I was thinking about me.
Right.
And I was thinking about what I can get. So I'm not supposed to be thoughtless either.
Correct.
And going back to that filter, when I talked about putting that food on the tray and then putting it through the sewage filter, I should be now also looking to become a certain type of person. Right? So I should be looking at what my boundaries are and what my expectations are and what my preferences are.
Correct.
And what are the things that are important to me? What are my goals? What are my visions?
Right.
What's my communication style? What's my personality style?
Yeah.
And then I should be willing to have conversations like that with you.
I think a lot of times why people don't have those types of conversations is because, and tell me if you think this is true, they feel like, well, I have this and I don't want to lose it. And if I talk about, my impact, the impact I want to make for the kingdom, that might scare them off type thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's a possibility.
And so
that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because I know there was a time I can remember that there was a commitment conversation that we had. I
remember too.
And it did create some fear.
It made you step back a little bit.
It did make me step back a little bit. And I'm glad you brought that up, because here's what we don't want you to do. We don't want you to have conversations that are not appropriate for the time frame that you're in.
Correct.
Right? So in the beginning of, if we're going to stay with cuffing season, if cuffing season is starting around October and you happen to meet somebody and you catch their eye and they, man, she looks great, or he's fine. You're probably not going to have a conversation about raising children.
Yeah.
Because that's not necessarily appropriate for that part of the season that you're in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to also the other the other half of that verse 15. So the beginning of verse 15 says, be careful how you live. The other end of that verse says, because it says, don't act like fools, but
live like those who are wise. Yeah.
So part of being wise is actually knowing when these conversations are appropriate and when they're not appropriate.
Right.
And here's what I would say. I would say, if you're thinking about, okay, when is it appropriate and when is it not appropriate? Think about the things that are important to you.
Right.
When something becomes important to you as a person, then the time it's probably approaching an appropriate time.
Yeah.
Which is tough, because a lot of us during cuffing season are just kind of thinking about cuffing.
Cuffing, yeah.
Yeah, or
cuffing.
Cuffing. So here's what we have to say about this as we wrap up. The beauty of this, again, I'm going to say it again, the beauty of this experience is that you get to do this with an advantage. So if you don't know by now, I'm an analogy person, right? So I'm going to give you another analogy. If you're trying to pass a test and you're thinking about the things that you want, I want to pass this test. I'm studying for this test. I want to get an A. That A is going to allow me to, it's going to open doors for me because I'm going to pass this class and I'm going to get this degree, or whatever it is that you're doing, right? All of those things are great. And it's okay to want those things, right? But you talked about verse 17 says that we should be looking to God for direction, right? So think about wanting to pass that test, studying for it, and all the things that'll come with you passing the test. Now imagine that you're handed all of the answers.
Yeah.
So now that automatically puts you at an advantage.
Right.
So the thing that we want to leave you with, yes, you should be having conversations about boundaries. You should be having conversations about expectations. You should be having conversations about how you like to be treated. What are the needs? What does support look like for you?
Yeah.
What does intimacy look like for you?
Yeah.
What are your non-negotiables? What are the things that will endear you to this person? What are the things that will turn you off? You should be having these conversations. The advantage is right here in the text that governs our time together. And the advantage is that you can be you can live by the Spirit's power.
Right.
Now, where did I get that phrase from? I didn't make that up. As we look at the text, we're looking at the Bible app on our phone. At the beginning of the section, chapter 15, there are subtitles, and the subtitle is Living by the Spirit's Power.
Chapter 5, verse 15.
Chapter 5, verse 15. So at the beginning of that section, the section is called Living by the Spirit's Power. Mm-hmm. The advantage that you have, not just in cuffing season, but in every season of your life, is that all of the things that are important to you, the things that you think may not be that great, because I told you what I think when I think pillow talk, and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
The advantage is that I can take all of that and filter that through somebody who can help me put it all together.
Yep.
And it come out the other side
Beautiful.
To my advantage.
Yes. Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Great.
So as you come to the end of cuffing season, our prayer for you is that you begin to have conversations that enrich you. Mm-hmm. You begin to think of ways that you can now be careful in the way that you live.
Yeah.
And just know that you have Jesus and you have your relevant family to help give you some perspective around that.
Yeah.
So it's cuffing season.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick around.
Great. I'm glad you're sticking around.
Make sure you're having these conversations, family. And we'll talk to you next time.